I don't have any advice. I don't have any advice because it's just so hard. People are like, just live in the moment and enjoy your life.
And you're like, no, but I'm going to miss all the things.
I know. If I do that, then River won't be able to go to summer camp or play soccer or have school clothes and shoes.
Community leaders from Asheville and Buncombe County.
From the newsroom to the nursery.
We're juggling a demanding career on live TV with the demands of motherhood.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Karen.
They are AnchorMoms.
Hi, friends. Welcome back into another episode of AnchorMoms, the podcast. Katie, we are just cruising through the doldrums of January here.
Ooh, it is hard.
It's cold.
It's really cold.
It's really cold here, which if you live in some place that's a lot colder, just pretend like we're not complaining.
No, but it's cold even by Asheville standards, like 30s and 40s and like
well, this
wind
morning
chills.
It felt like 13.
Yeah, I mean, the wind chill is really cold. I only know this because, I have to sit through 625 weather forecasts in two and a half hours every morning. The wind chills are cold.
Mm-hmm.
River got a trampoline for Christmas. And so now I spend my days freezing outside.
Is it up and ready?
It's up and ready.
Does she love it?
She loves it.
We jumped on ours, all 6 of us, which is like a little risky. Gregory's like, are we going to break this thing? Like, what's the weight limit again?
Yeah.
On Christmas Day. And Ellery was like, she's our big tradition girl. She was like, this is our new tradition, jumping on the trampoline every Christmas. And he was like, the weather's not normally going to be in such a way that we can jump on the trampoline every Christmas.
Yeah.
So
unless you're River, because she's like,
yeah,
you know how it is when your kid gets something new, like it could be a blizzard outside, and she's like perfectly fine.
Well, ours have been jumping on our trampoline, and it's freezing. They come in and like they're red. They're freezing. They like took their socks off. I'm like, what are you guys thinking,
kids?
I know. Well, I'm glad she loves it.
She loves it. I need it to be summertime.
Yeah.
You know?
Listen, guess what post I saw the other day that literally sent chills down my spine?
Oh.
It was on a mom page.
Not our mom page.
No, a mom page.
Uh-huh.
So what's everybody doing for summer camps?
Oh, girl, I know. Trust me, I saw that this morning.
I'm like, it is January 2nd,
I know.
people.
I know.
But they're not wrong because some of the signups start in January.
Really?
Yes.
And then I have to rack my brain, like, what did we do last year? What do we want to do? When are our vacations?
Well, the hardest for me is like, we don't even have all of our like vacations lined up yet. What
I'm just like nodding my head, like
6
shaking
months
my
from
head.
now
Why?
seems so far away.
I'm exhausted just talking about it.
How can we plan for it?
I don't know if you're listening to this or watching this, is it like this in your city?
I think it is.
It's just so much.
It's
and then
so
you have
much.
you're like waitlisted or you got to like log on at a certain time.
I really was like, started shaking and was like, I just don't think I can do this. I just can't do it. It literally was like a visceral reaction.
I know.
I was like, oh my gosh, summer camps are ready and it's January.
Mm-hmm. I know. And so like you start like I said, you start making a list of the things that they did last year. Then you got to log on and see like, when does it open up?
What's the theme each week?
Yeah.
It's
like there's like homework to do before you can even start the sign up process.
I feel like we just got through Christmas, right? We just got through Christmas.
I know. This is the mental load of motherhood that never stops. It just never stops. Like I just ordered all the Christmas presents and like got that taken care of and like saw my kid enjoy Christmas. And now it's like
back at it.
Before you rest on your laurels, start thinking about summer camp.
It's just like, remember when school started and then we were podcasting and I was like, okay, school has started. We're back in the swing of things. Everything's okay. And then it was like, Halloween. What are you going to be for Halloween? I was like, wait, already? Like you just never get a break. There's never a minute.
You never get a break. There's never a minute. Even when like summer camp is in session, I start like thinking about fall and school.
Do you think it's just because they're little? Like when they get bigger, are there breaks? No.
I don't know. I mean, I'll just tell you, Brian, who coaches River's soccer team, was like, on our drive back from Christmas was like, you've really got to sign River up for soccer. And I was like, it's like December 29th for like spring soccer. It was like, yeah. So I signed her up, and sure enough, like late registration was like January 1st. And I was like, okay, can we relax here, soccer people? And then I realized, what did I see? It was like practices start in like February. I was like, is this real life?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to say. I don't think that I don't have any advice. I don't have any advice because it's just so hard. People are like, just live in the moment and enjoy your life.
And you're like, no, but I'm going to miss all the things.
I know. If I do that, then River won't be able to go to summer camp or play soccer or have school clothes and shoes. I
have to believe it gets easier when they're older. Maybe they do it on their own. Like at some point when they're teenagers, they can do some of this stuff.
You think your kids are going to sign up for summer camp on their own?
I don't know.
Maybe
do they have to be in summer camp when they're a teenager? I don't know. I just need a light at the end of the tunnel.
I don't know. Actually, that brings us to our first article, by the way.
Yes, it's from parents. It's from parents. Does parenting ever get easier? The Reddit thread sparks honest conversation. Oh my gosh! So this is, as you can tell, mom who writes on Reddit. She's got a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and she's pregnant. And she says, it's literally crazy town. I love this quote. The idea of going somewhere with the kids and just relaxing seems impossible to me. And I feel this in my soul.
Yeah.
Like I just, even over Christmas break, we had all these grandiose plans of like, it's 2 weeks off. The kids can sleep in. Just going to be like lounging about in our jammies, everyone peacefully getting along, playing board games and reading books. And it just it's just not easy. Mm-hmm. It's just not easy. So she talks to some parents of older kids weigh in. And of course they say what we've heard, the challenges just change. Yeah. It doesn't get easier, just the things change. And they said a couple things that I thought were interesting. One, you can't solve their problems when they're older. Yes. Now we can solve their problems. We can put on their shoes for them. We can break up the fight between siblings. We can make them a snack. And when they get older, their problems are bigger and we can't solve them. They also said it depends on the span between children, the number of children, their ages, of course, makes sense. So that's a factor in all this. But it made me think of, I recently saw one of my aunts who I love, who had 4 kids, and she now has 4 grown kids. And I just said, it's so hard.
Yeah.
Was it this hard for you? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, it's just so hard. And she said, I know it feels hard right now, but just remember, at this point, they are all safe. Like, any issue that comes up is relatively not a big deal, right? Like, I know it's hard to keep this in mind, but like, and it's kind of what this article is saying, everything's pretty much under control.
Right.
Right? Now, she was saying, now I have 4 adult children who are driving. You don't know where they are. You don't know if they're okay. You don't know what life choices they're making. She's like, it gets a lot harder when they're adults. So just kind of try to keep that in perspective. And I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, yes, it's not easy and it's exhausting, but everything is pretty manageable, right? We know they're safe. They're not going to drive head on into somebody and get in a terrible car accident. The things that could happen are much more high risk when they're older. At this point,
I think it's that saying is once a parent, always a parent. I see this in my, of course, my mom and dad have passed, but I see this in my poor mother-in-law who has Brian and then 2 grown daughters. And I just see her worrying over them, in a very loving way. And it always reminds me, I mean, she's 80.
Yeah. And she's still worrying about her kids.
Like my sister-in-laws are in their like 40s and 50s. And it's like, yeah, like that's the like blessing and a curse of being a parent. And I do think, I hate to say this, because now that I have friends who have tweens, I think the problems get a lot more complicated. Like your kid gets bullied.
Mhm.
They don't make the sports team. Those
They
are
don't get
things-
asked to the dance.
They don't get asked to the dance. Those
Mhm.
are things that break your heart that you cannot fix. Like, I'm
Right.
just thinking like, River has like, we were at a restaurant the other day and she dropped one of her little toys that broke.
Mhm.
And she was like devastated about it. And I was like, girl, we can super glue this at home.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
not that, and she was like so sad about it. And I was like, it's like, oh, Brian was like, it's okay. Like, we got this. It's so easy. Like, all
Right,
you need
right.
is a little super glue and you're like,
Mhm.
you're good to go. But I mean,
Yeah.
those emotional things, that
Mhm.
heartbreak, that's like something they have to really navigate on their own. I mean, obviously you can support them, but you can't super glue a relationship back
Right.
together.
Yeah.
This
This is making me like not want my kids to grow up now.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking maybe we're in the easy stage.
Yeah. And I mean, I think this article says it well. It's all hard. Small kids require more physical stamina. Like,
Mhm.
you're not getting enough sleep. When you're at the beach, you're like running around,
Chasing 'em around,
chasing
yeah.
them around, I'm just thinking about last night. I went, I go to bed now before River goes to bed. And Brian went downstairs in the basement to like break down boxes. And River came and like woke me up because she was like, I can't find dad anywhere. And I was like, okay. You know what I mean? So like I had to go down in the basement and be like, here he is. And he's like, River, I told you I was like breaking down boxes.
Mm.
My point is like, those are the things that you're like,
Mhm.
for God's sakes, when they're little,
Yeah.
it's the physical part. But the older kids require more mental and emotional bandwidth, right?
Right,
Which can
right.
be just as taxing
Mhm.
and if like even more exhausting.
Well, and like as I'm thinking about it, I'd rather get them another snack than deal
Right.
with
Like, than
try
seeing
to
them sad
coach
about a
them
bully.
through
Yeah.
emotional things. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
I guess we
think-
just shut up and deal with it.
Right. Or you enjoy each phase as it comes. Like, you try to, this is what I was saying before, is like, you're always trying to, everybody's always like, live in the moment because,
Mhm.
but so, I mean, this is like your sign because don't
Yeah.
worry. Like, soon you won't be running around worried about them drowning at the ocean, but you will be worried about them like not making the soccer team
Mhm. Or
Right?
dating the wrong person.
or dating the wrong person or hanging out with the wrong crowd.
We had a very interesting conversation last night at our dinner table that was, who do you think we're gonna marry?
I know River asks me about that sometimes too.
And Ellery's like, I mean, I've got to marry somebody who loves Harry Potter. And Henry's
Okay.
like, I really want to marry someone who's calm.
I could see that.
And I'm like, yep. And he's like, I think Sam, though, is going to marry like a really beautiful, popular lady. I'm like, okay, like it's
Oh,
hilarious their
predictions.
notions of like what,
Yeah.
who they'll end up with.
River will ask me, she asked me this a couple weeks ago. I was doing her hair and she goes, Mom, what happens if you never find anyone to marry?
Oh.
Like, what happens if you don't ever get married? And I was like,
Yeah, you're
that's
just-
all right. Like, that happens.
It
You know
sounds
what I mean?
really nice, actually.
But it's just so funny because
Yeah.
I don't know. She's been watching too much Disney. Like, that's the
Mhm.
problem because it was like she was legitimately
Concerned, yeah.
concerned. And it's like, it'll be okay.
Well, she's been watching like Frozen or one of the ones that like they don't. I will say I'm very proud of Disney that it's not just like princess meeting prince anymore.
Yeah.
There's different storylines. And so a lot of these main, Moana,
I
with
know.
Moana 2, we're like, wait, she still didn't get married. Like,
Well,
what's happening?
So when we were in New York over Christmas with Brian's family, one of his high school friends came over and River had just gone to see Moana 2 for the second time with her cousins. And she was pretending to be Moana. And Brian's friend Adam was like, wait, which one's Moana? I was like, oh, she's she's
Wayfarer.
Oh, exactly. I
Yeah.
was like, she's a wayfarer. And he's like, but wait, who does she marry? I was like,
We don't know.
No one.
Yeah.
She doesn't marry anyone. And it was funny. Like, that was his, he's in his 40s. So he just is used to that formulaic Disney movie thing.
I
was
love
like,
it. I'm
yeah.
here for it. I love
Yeah.
that there's so many now. I mean, a lot of them now.
Yeah.
Permission for young girls to grow up and do their thing.
You don't have to get married.
do whatever you'd like to do.
Do whatever you would like to do. Okay, my win is also something.
Nope, it's a mom's.
Mums. My mums. My mums.
It can be a win as
Do
well.
we want to skip ahead?
Yeah.
Yes, my mums. I'm sorry. Forgive me. My mum's a word. This is a segment where we recommend a product or I don't know, something. Whatever. This also came in handy over Christmas. We were
Okay.
in New York City and it was like literally 18 degrees. And I pulled
Mhm.
out of my purse this hand salve. It's
Oh.
from the Savanah Bee Company. It's a beeswax salve. It comes in a couple of different scents. I like the spearmint.
It's like a lotion?
It's like a
Oh, are you going to pull it out of your bag?
hold on. I never go anywhere
Oh,
without
I saw
this.
you using this the other day and I was very
Obsessed.
interested. Okay.
Obsessed. Anyway, yeah, it's like a
Can I try a little bit?
sure.
This is
So that was what's
show
funny
and tell,
is like
mom's the
I
word.
know my sister-in-law
Just a little bit, right?
and my and my nieces were like, wait,
Mhm.
can I have some of that? We were sitting on the train and I was like, sure. What I like about it is it's a little greasy when you put it on and then it absorbs and it's not greasy.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's the spearmint one. You can get, this is the 2 ounce. It's $12. The 0.75 one is $6. I've been using it for years.
Softens and hydrates.
Softens and hydrates. If you buy it on Amazon, it's a little more expensive, but if you buy it directly from the Savanah Bee Company, it's a little
Oh.
cheaper.
Inside
I'll link
tip.
it.
Mhm.
I love it. It's great for the winter.
Great.
Cuticles, hands, knuckles,
Everything's dry in the winter, so it's good to have.
right?
Yeah.
We know about your dry feet.
Oh. I mean, can we stop bringing up
We
the
will
dry
never stop bringing it up. We will never stop bringing it up. I'm sorry. It's just too good.
feet? We had a salon day at home over Christmas break,
Uh-huh.
and the kids found my like basket of feet products.
Oh.
And so they're like using all these things on my feet, and they're like, "Why are your feet so like cracked and crusted and like calloused?" You know,
You're like,
it's like, well, this is what happens. Yep. Just go to town on these guys.
That's good.
Just
Did they give
whatever.
you a little pedicure?
Oh yeah, they did all the things. They dumped all the like lotions and exfoliants, and yeah, I don't know that it helped much, but
Oh.
they went for it. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
That sounds great. Putting your kids to work like that.
Yeah. I mean, then my nails were done by Bennett
Oh,
as well.
they
Yeah.
look nice.
Do they?
It's
very
like, don't
thick.
look too close.
You know when kids put nail polish on and it's like, let me put the whole bottle
Yep.
and just rub it around.
Mhm.
Yep, that's
Mhm.
basically
I
what
just won't look too close. From
Yeah,
afar, it
no.
looks great. All right, this next article comes from The Cut. There is a lot to unpack in this article.
Yes.
The title is "The Parents Who Don't Teach Sharing. Is this gentle parenting trend accommodating kids' developmental stages or catering to their worst impulses?" And this author starts out by saying in her Facebook parenting group, a mom is sort of asking for advice. She says her son was on a swing and another boy wanted to turn on the swing, and her son wouldn't budge, even as the other kid kept asking politely, like, hey, can I have a turn? And the mom wanted to know how to convince the other little boy to sort of back off and stop pressuring her son because they don't teach sharing. Her son is 3, by the way. And this author is lamenting parents are no longer teaching sharing because some experts say it is developmentally inappropriate and damaging to their mental health and teaches a dangerous form of people pleasing. Some of the experts in this article actually say that kids aren't even really able to share, young kids. And so you should wait to teach sharing until they're actually interested in sharing. And the author sort of argues there should be a middle ground between raising a bully and being a spineless doormat. Those are her words, not mine. She talks about, the expert who says that toddlers are incapable of sharing. They don't understand the concept, and kids who are pushed too soon remain more selfish until much older ages. But other experts in this article rather say that kids, it's kind of interesting. The other experts sort of point to, it's like a cultural thing here, even in the States. Like, it just is very emblematic of middle-class parents and how they don't want to share their things and how materialistic the parents are and how ownership is seen as so important that they're not even teaching their kids because they don't want their kids to, quote unquote, be pushovers.
I totally disagree with the notion that we should not teach our children sharing.
Yeah.
I just can't get on board with it. How about you?
Same.
I feel like this is one of those things that your kid's not sharing and this is like your excuse, right? Like, oh, well, we shouldn't be teaching them that. And it's funny, I saw this come up on a mom influencers page recently, and the grandmother was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, the kids have to share. What? And the mom was the one being like, we actually don't teach sharing anymore. They can have the toy. They don't need to share it. And the grandma was like, are you kidding me? What is wrong with you? Of course they need to share. I would say, and I liked this article because I feel like they got opinions from both sides, but I would say, just from my non-expert mom experience, and I'm not saying by any means that my children are perfect or great sharers, but even Sam, who, at 2, and I think a lot of this was from his preschool, they make them share, and he is a good sharer.
Yeah.
Like, I think that even at 2, I disagree with the people who say they're incapable of that at this age. I think that, like anything, if you teach them to clean up after themselves, they can get that. If you teach them to share, they can get that. I mean, they are very, I don't know what the word is, but, you can kind of mold them into these great behaviors. And like anything, if you're showing them what to do, they will do it. They will do what they see. They will, if you set that example, they'll do it. I think a lot of toddlers, and again, my children aren't perfect, but I have seen him at 2 develop that and very early on be able to say, my teachers, my parents, my siblings, this is what we do. We share this toy. I get it. I might throw a little bit of a fit in the beginning, and then my mom has to set a 5-minute timer, but then I know that I share that toy with them. Like, I just think that the thought that their little brains aren't capable of sharing is ludicrous. I think they absolutely can share. We just have to teach them to do it. And I think we should. And I think the message of this is a generational, we even as adults don't really want to share anymore, is absolutely
true.
Spot on.
I know. I think so too. One of my favorite parts about this article is one of the experts that this author talks to also says not teaching a kid to share sacrifices or ignores how good it feels to give back. We have seen consistently in studies that people are happier, feel better about themselves and the world around them when they are giving back.
Sure.
Volunteering, helping friends and family, donating to a charity. And so that's like part of sharing, is part of the human experience that makes you feel good. Mm-hmm. She says, rather than forcing a kid to share, focus on the joy sharing gives. Mm-hmm. So it's like a different motivation. Mm-hmm. I find it especially ludicrous. It's one thing if like your kid is playing with a toy and another kid comes over and is like, I want that toy. Mm-hmm. Okay. Of course, your kid's not going to be jazzed to give it up. That does not surprise me.
Or that's when you say, he can play with it for one more minute and then we're going to share it, whatever.
But when you're on like a public playground and your kid has had their turn on the swing and another little boy or another kid comes up and asks politely like, hey, can I have a turn? And to willfully, even as the parent, ignore that other kid, shame on you. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And it sets such a poor example for the future.
And I'm sure you've seen this at times with River, when your kids do notice, oh, this other person wants this, and whether that takes them a minute to realize or whatever, when they do share it, I mean, there's so many times that one of my kids will come and be like, I shared the toy that I knew Sam really wanted, and it really made him happy.
Yeah.
They feel good. Yeah. And again, that's what we need to teach them. And I think they recognize that. I just think it's such an important quality and characteristic. And I am almost ashamed that some parents think that it's okay not to support
I think I have seen, this isn't the first time I have read this. Like you, I have seen some social media posts about it. And, I guess I understand to a certain extent what you're saying, but I don't I think not to teach your kid to share, period, is wild.
Yeah. And I don't think it's being a spineless doormat. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's being kind.
It's being kind. This article also talks about, and I thought this was really interesting, how being kind is not a characteristic that parents are super interested in these days. Like, because if you're kind, then are you a pushover? Yeah, you're not going to get ahead. There's a teacher in here who talks about how she told one parent that like their pre-K student was, kind to other students. And the dad was like, wait, is my son like a pushover? Like took it a totally different direction, I know. What a world we live in.
Phew. All right. Our last article is from Scary Mommy. A recovering boy mom explains why she doesn't use that phrase anymore. I see this a lot. A lot of people are very proud of being boy moms. I get it. I do think that there is a different level of parenting with boys and girls. But all that to say, this mom had 2 boys, and then she married a man who had 2 girls. And so she always used the term boy mom. And she said she didn't mean it in a particularly, she wasn't crazy about it. It wasn't like she was obsessed with it, but she just used it because that's what she was. And then she met her husband with daughters and realized, oh my gosh, why am I using this? This is silly. And also, it's so stereotypical when you never know. And she talks about how her boys were into wrestling and being rough, but then she met a man and married him who had girls who are equally as into wrestling and being rough. And she kind of realized it doesn't matter if you're a boy mom or a girl mom, your kids are your kids.
Yeah.
And, it's all kind of, they're all crazy, right? Like they're all nuts. And so why are we labeling ourselves as such? I thought it was interesting. I do think people, some moms feel like they are, kind of at a higher level because they're having to deal with the chaos of boys being boys and having both boys and girls. I can say there is a level of physical roughness, I think, that comes with boys. That's not always there with girls, but as this mom points out, it can be there with girls too,
Yeah, I feel like boy mom was something invented, or like girl mom. I've seen people do that too.
Yeah.
That it was like something invented for social media. Like,
and
that's
like
not
for merchandise, right? Like if people just want to sell things that say boy mom or girl mom,
I guess.
right?
And I feel like, I feel like it puts too much focus on gender, and it puts like some sort of expectation on like
what the
boys
child
are
should
crazy
be like. Yeah.
and girls are, demure. Like I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It would not be something this article, I
you
get
agree
it.
with. Yeah.
I agree with it. Yeah.
So I have a win.
Okay.
So Sam recently turned 3.
Okay.
Which is fun, but not the real win. So on his first birthday, my sweet sister-in-law made him this beautiful cake. And we put the candle in, we sing to him, and he absolutely loses his mind.
Okay.
Like cannot handle a birthday cake, cannot handle candles. Same thing happens on his second birthday. I'm like, poor kid is never going to be able to eat cake, can't handle candles. Well, guess what?
He can handle the candles.
Third birthday, did the cake, did the candle. We're good.
Congrats.
Yeah, we're over our fear of cake. It was.
I wish I had a fear of cake.
I know. Well, it was really kind of interesting to me. I'm like, is it just birthdays? Is it the center of attention?
Yeah.
Like, what is it that's making it? I mean, literally lose his mind sobbing. And Sammy's a pretty happy kid. It was so bizarre to me. And I was kind of like worried that it was going to be this thing that was going to stick with us forever.
Yeah.
But 3 years old, he can handle it.
River went through a phase where she didn't like it when people sang happy birthday to her. I had to blow out the candles, but mostly because she felt pressure about being the center of attention and she didn't like it.
Yeah.
She's like since gotten over it, but it was like a whole thing. Like I was like, you're 5. Like, what are we doing here? Are we still like, you're not blowing out your candles?
Yeah.
Like you want me to blow
Well,
out
it was
your
funny
candles?
because this year, like everybody was like, okay, what's Sam going to do?
Yeah.
Like, can he handle it this year? Is
Yeah.
he going to lose it again? Is he going to start crying? And just like that.
It's a lot of emotion for a little kid.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also hilarious because he's in that stage where he like thinks he can blow it out, but he's not really blowing in the right direction.
Right.
But he got it, nailed it. Happy birthday to Sam. Yeah.
Good.
And 3 feels like a big, like, we're like a big kid now.
Yeah.
No more diapers. We're like out of the baby stage.
Nice. Forever.
forever.
Okay.
Forevermore.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Glad. Really, I'm just glad that now we can all enjoy the cake, because I was getting to the point where I was like, oh, shoot, should we not be getting him a birthday cake?
Oh, right.
Which would be devastating to the whole family.
Right.
But now we can eat
I'm so glad that,
birthday cake.
that you're all enjoying cake for Sam's birthday.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you right back here next time.
Bye, guys. Anchor Moms is a Sinclair podcast produced out of WLOS in Asheville. We're your hosts, Katie Killen and Karen Zakalak. Anchor Moms is edited by Matthew Yates.
For more information on the topics discussed in this episode and to stay up to date on future episodes, follow us on Instagram at AnchorMoms.
You can follow Anchor Moms on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Know a parent who could benefit from this week's Anchor Moms episode? Your recommendations help our show to grow, so spread the word.